Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're learning Masechtas Taanit daf Chavav. We are starting the fourth and final parak. B'shloisha prakim. There are 3 times b'shana in the year that Kohanim noisnes kapayim, that the Kohanim will do nesis kapayim, the duchening, and that'll take place arba pamim b'yoyim, 4 times during the day. This will take place. And what are the 4 times? So these are the 4 times during the day which we would have the Kohen do Nesis Kapayim. So one of the 3 times that this takes place, 4 times. So this is actually going to be question 3. And the answer is during the fast days, which we've been discussing, and Yom Kippur, and the Mamadais is what we're going to be discussing now. Elohein Mamadais. Lafish Nemar, the pasuk says, Saves b'nei Yisrael as karbon lachmi, regarding the bringing of the carbon tamid. It says that the b'nei Yisrael will have to bring this carbon. The question is, if in fact I am supposed to also participate in this carbon tamid, well, how's that going to really work if I'm not present? And therefore, hiskinu nevim harishonim, esrim be'arba mishmaros, their kohanim were divided into 24 equal parts. Al kol mishmar hayam maimed b'Yerushalayim. And on each of these mishmaros, in which they served for 1 week, there was a maimed in Yerushalayim. Now, when we say nevim rishonim, Rashi says it's Shmuel and David. That's what I was going to explain. And this is what was done. And let's look at Rashi. Elu hadar mishalayim hayu mamadais b'chol ir Yisrael nechachu l'chafdal mamadais keneged arbav es mishmaros. So there was these 24 mamados keneged these 24 groups of kohanim, and that's who they were. Now shekohanim and they belong, says the Gemara rather, or Mishnah, the first wide line, Shel Kohanim Shel Levim V'Shel Yisraelim. So it was mixed of Kohanim, Levim, Yisraelim. They were all together. Hagiv Zman HaMishmar L'Lavos. When it came time for that Mishmar to go to the Beis HaMikdash, Kohanim Levim Oyel Mishalayim, they would go. Yisrael Sheba'oisa Mishmar, the non-Kohanim that were part of the Mishmar, Miskansin L'Arehen, they would gather into their cities. B'Karin B'Masabratius. So they would also do something, but they would read from various sections of Parshas Masabratius. Let's see the parentheses. V'yachi ha'maimid hayu mis'adin. They would fast arba yomim b'shavua, 4 days of the week. Yom beis v'yad yom chamishi, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. V'lo hayu mis'adin erev Shabbos, and they come to Shabbos. Lo be'echa b'Shabbos kadei shel yetzu mimincha mimenucha v'oineg l'gia v'tainis v'yamusu. So they would not fast on Friday. They would also not fast on the Sunday. Okay. But Yom HaRishon, so what did the people read from Sefer Bereshis? They would read Bereshis Vayihi Rakia. So they would read those sections. Bereshis and Vayihi Rakia. But Sheni, on the second day, Hirakia V'Yikabu Hamayim. So they would read from the end of what they read last time, and then they also read V'Yikabu Hamayim. B'Shlishi Yikabu Hamayim V'Hi Ma'oros. Rabbi, on the 4th day, they read Yehima Oidois, V'yishutzu Hamayim, B'chamishi Yitzu Hamayim, B'taitze Aretz, B'shishi B'taitze Aretz, V'yichul Hashamayim. So they read all the different sections found in Parshas Bereshis, in the creation of the world, in the first parak. Says Rashi, Karin Bereshis, Parsh V'Shoina U'Parshas Yehirakia, L'fi She'ein B'Parshas Bereshis Lavad the Tes Psukim, Kedei Kriyas Kayin Levi Yisrael V'chein B'Kulin. There has to be at least, as we're going to see in Masechtas Megillah, 10 psukim, minimally, Keneged the Asar Batalanim, and therefore, because there wasn't enough in that first paragraph, that's why we also had an additional paragraph as well, says Rashi. Okay, so that's how they would divide everything up. Now, Parsha Gedola, the larger paragraph, Karin Oysa V'Shnayim, the 2 people, 2 aliyahs, if you will, got that. The paragraph, which was smaller, only 1 person got that. And this was done b'shachris b'musaf. This was done in the morning by musaf. Mincha, however, in the afternoon, nichnasim v'karin al pihen kikarin shema. They would read by themselves or by heart, just like someone would say the Shema. Erev Shabbos b'mincha, when it came to Friday afternoon, they didn't gather the Maimadais because of Kavod Shabbos. Kol yom sheish bo halil ein maimid b'shachris. And any time that halil was said, the maimid did not convene in the morning. It says Rashi, sheyesh bo halil lafi she'en lehem panai. They didn't have time lasos ma'madan shekarnis halil when they're reading the halil. So halil pushed up the maimid. So therefore, because of that, that took precedence. Carbon musav ein b'ni'ila, carbon eitzim ein b'mincha. So when it came to the carbon musav, that was not by ni'ila, says Rashi. What does that mean? Yom sheish bo carbon musaf. Any day that there is a carbon musaf, ein maimid b'ni'ila, Yerushalayim. The maimid would not convene for ni'ila. Again, whenever there was musaf. The kol shekain b'mincha hasmuch al musaf. When it came to mincha, which was near musaf, mafishay tarudim b'musaf. Since they were tarud in the carbon musaf, sheish bo hakri behemos yoser mitamid shehu echad enocha musaf b'lei shnei behemos. It has to be at least two animals. They were busy bringing the carbon musaf. The Yisraelim also, they had to chop wood, they had to draw water, says Rashi. Okay, so therefore, if carbon musaf was brought, certainly they did not convene by mincha time, but also not even by nila. Carbon eitzim. If, let's say, it was a carbon eitzim, the Gemara is going to explain. Rashi says, for example, echad metisha zmanim. It's one of 9 times that there was this carbon eitzim. The Osa Yom says, Rashi, shehayabo carbon eitzim, afilu hayabo musaf. Even if there's no musaf that day, hayanidcha maimid shel mincha. They would not do the maimid, they wouldn't gather together in the afternoon. Memnei carbon eitzim, memnei shekarbon eitzim kaidel mamincha. But daicha maimid hasmucha loy v'loy shel ne'ilah. So, when it comes to the carbon eitzim, it pushed off mincha, but it does not push off ni'ila. As Mashenkin, carbon musaf will push off ni'ila, and also certainly mincha. Divi Rabbi Akiva. Amrulu ben Azai, Kachayi Rabbi Yeshua Shaina. Carbon musaf, when there's carbon musaf, ein b'mincha. Not that there's no ni'ila, but there's no maimid by mincha. Carbon eitzim ein b'ni'ila. So basically, he flipped it. He says that the difference of whether or not we also will convene with mamadais by ni'ila is a machlokus if it's done when there's a carbon musaf or in a day in which there's eitzim. So Chaz Rabbi Akiva liyoi sheni ben Azai. Then he ended up retracting and holding like the sheet of Ben Azai we just said. Zman atzi kohanim, the time of the atzi, the wood, ba'am tisha. As we mentioned in Rashi, it's 9 times. And what are those times? Be'echa ben Nisan, during the first of Nisan, b'nei Arach ben Yehuda. That's in honor of those people that donated wood, says Rashi. Shekisha'olu b'nei Hagoyla, hemis nadvu tchila. They're the ones that their offerings of wood will be accepted first. Furthermore, it says the Mishnah, Be'esrim Tammuz on the 20th of Tammuz b'nei David ben Yehuda, B'chamisha b'av on the 5th of Av b'nei Paroish ben Yehuda, B'shiva bo on the 7th b'nei Yonadav ben Rechav, B'asaraboi on the 10th day of that month b'nei Tzina ben Binyamin, B'chamisha Aser bo, and this is an important one, on Tu b'av b'nei Zatu ben Yehuda. V'imahen kohanim levim v'chol mi shetai b'shivtai. Anyone who made a mistake with their tribe, uvnei goinvei eli, and those who have a pestle, uvnei kaitze katziais, and those who cut dry figs, be'esrim bo b'nei pachas Pachas Moya ben Yehuda, Be'esrim Elul on the 20th of Elul, B'nei Odin ben Yehuda, Be'echad B'teve Shabo, B'nei Parosh Shnia. So this is the B'nei Parosh, which we said before, B'nei Parosh ben Yehuda. This is the second time that they're acknowledged. The first time that they're acknowledged was on the 5th of Av, and here it's on the 1st of Tevet. Be'echad b'tev shnia be'echad b'teves lo hayabo maimed shayabo halel. It's because there was halel, so there was no maimed. The carbon most of the carbon eitzim. Fine. So again, this gives us a little bit of a glimpse of understanding what exactly took place. What was this? What are ma'amados? And then the Mishnah tells us the famous 5 and 5. Chamish davarim iras avaseinu b'shivas b'tamuz v'chamisha b'tisha b'av. 5 calamities happened on the 17th of Tammuz, and 5 also happened on Tisha B'av. The Shiva Asher B'Tammuz on the 17th day of the month of Tammuz, as we continue in Chav Vav and Beis, Nishtaber Haluchos. So on that day, as the Gemara will elaborate, that was the day that Moshe smashed the first set of luchos. Furthermore, Ubatal HaTamid, the carbon Tamid stopped being brought. V'hukva Ha'ir, and the city was surrounded and conquered. V'saraf apustamus es atayra. Apustamus burnt the Sefer Torah. V'hemed sel behechel, and he put an idol in the Beis Hamikdash. B'shiva, that's behechel. B'tisha b'av gazer al v'seinu shliach nesu l'aretz. On Tisha B'av, there was a gezerah that we shouldn't enter Eretz Yisrael because of the spies. The Charav Habayis Rishayna V'Shniya, the first and second temple were destroyed. The Nilkuda Beitar, the city, Rashi says Ir Gedoyla, B'Hay Yisrael Dorin Ba, as it's brought to Masechtas Gittin, there was many Jewish people that lived in the city, and that city was destroyed. V'Nechasha Ha'ir, and the city of Jerusalem was plowed. So these are 5 calamities that happened on Tisha B'av. Mishenichnas Av mematin b'simcha. When Av enters, we decrease our joy. Shabbos shechol Tisha B'av liyois b'soicha aser mu'saper l'machabes. We know that there's already from the 3 weeks and then the 9 days and Shavuot shechol bo Tisha B'av. So the Mishnah says that when it comes to the Shabbos, the week Shavuot shechol bo, in that week, you're not allowed to get haircuts or do laundry. On Thursday, it's allowed. Erev Tisha B'av lo yochel adam shnei tavshilin. Person should not have 2 dishes. This is referring to the meal right before the fast, known as the Sudas Mafsekes. Lo yochel basav lo yishteh yain. Don't have meat or wine. Of course, we don't have meat or wine all 9 days. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer Yeshana Rabbi Yehuda Mechayiv b'kfiyas amita v'lohaydolei chachamim. So he actually would take his bed, and says Rashi, kfiyas amita al paneh, he flip his bed over, v'loyishan aleh, and he didn't even sleep on it. So on this, they didn't agree that was necessary. Amar Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, l'hoy yomim tovim l'Yisrael k'chamisha aser b'av u'kiyom ha'kippurim. That there's no happier days than Yom Kippur, and as well as the 15th of Av. Shebahen benos Yerushalayim yoitzas bekli lavan, that these girls would go out with white garments, shu'alim, which were borrowed, shul lavayish es mi she'ein lo, not to embarrass someone who doesn't have. Kol kelim tu'unin tefila, and all of their vessels, all the garments were immersed. Uvenos Yerushalayim yoitzas v'chaylis bekramim, the girls would go out and dance. What would they say? Bachur, son no inecha, go cast your eyes and see. Mata barlach, what's good for you? Altitin inecha b'noi, don't look at the beauty alone. Tain inecha b'mishpacha, look at the family. Look at beyond the beauty. Sheker achein v'hevel hayoifi, sheker is grace is false, and hevel is yoifi, beauty is vanity. Yishiras Hashem hitasalo. V'oimer tenua mepriyodeha v'haluha b'shar maseha. V'chein hu oimer, and so it says, send go out Ure'ena b'no Sion b'melech Shlomo. Ba'atara, and with a crown, she'itru lo imo b'yom chasinusai. B'yom simchas libo. So b'yom chasinuso zeh matan Torah. That is like the day that we were married to Hashem. We were the kal and Hashem was the chasen. B'yom simchas liboi zeh binyan beis hamikdash she'abana b'mehera v'menu, which is the end of the Mishnah and the Masechta as far as Mishnayos. So b'shloisha prakim mishana kohanim noisin eskapein. So we said there's 3 times that we do Nesias Kapayim 4 times. Now Taanit umamados me'ika musaf. It's not true because there's not even musaf. So what does that mean? Sachasar mechsav hachatani. B'shloisha prakim kohanim noisin eskapein kol zman shemispalin. Every time that we daven, they always will do Nesias Kapayim. Yesh mehen arba pamim b'yoim, and some of them are even 4 times. Shachos u'musaf mincha ni'il sha'arim. V'elohein shloisha prakim hataynius mamadas v'yom kippurim. So we know, of course, Yom Kippur, we have Shachos, Mincha, Marib, and musaf ni'ila. However, when it comes to Taanit mamadas, there is no ni'ila, but that's okay. We still do Nesias Kapayim all the time. On every whenever it's a fast day, we do Nesias Kapayim all the time. Amr Rav Nachman, Amr Rabbi Boravu, Zu Divrei Meir. Chachamim Armrim Shachos u'Musaf Yesh Behen Nesias Kapayim. No, we only do Nesias Kapayim in the morning. However, Mincha Ne'ilah in Behem Nesias Kapayim. We will not do Nesias Kapayim in the afternoon. So Man Chachamim Yehuda the sign is Shachos u'Musaf Mincha Ne'ilah. When it comes to all these tefillos, Kulin Yesh Behen Nesias Kapayim Divrei Meir. Rav Meir is of the opinion that you always do Nesias Kapayim. Let's say on a fast day. Yehuda Omer Shachos u'Musaf Yesh Behen Nesias Kapayim. Mincha Ne'ilah in Behem Nesias Kapayim. So he says, no, it's only done in the morning, but not in the afternoon. Rav Yossi, a third opinion, Rav Yossi Omer Ne'ilah Yesh Behen Nesias Kapayim. Only by Ne'ilah. Mincha Ein Bo Nesias Kapayim. So my kamifki, how do we understand this 3-way machlokas? So Rav Meir, who says we always do Nesias Kapayim savar kol yoima taimamai loy parsi kahani yodaihu b'minchasa. Why do we say that a kohen normally will not do Nesias Kapayim in the afternoon? Mishum shichros. But today, which is, let's say, Yom Kippur, like a shichros, or a fast, because there's no drinking, there's no eating. It's a fast day. So therefore, he says you can do Nesias Kapayim straight through. All year round, they do Nesias Kapayim in the morning because it's not shechros, because people didn't eat yet. However, in the afternoon, where there's a possibility of shechros, so therefore they're guys who say we can never do Nesias Kapayim in the afternoon. Mincha, which is all the time, goes a rabbanon. That's what he says. By ni'ila, it's not a problem because there's no reason to be geyser atu because there's no ni'ila during the rest of the year. The halacha, in fact, is like the shita of Rav Meir, as we said, that Rav Meir is of the opinion that we do Nesias Kapayim all the time, and there's no reason to be geyser on, let's say, Yom Kippur because there's no shichus. Rabbi Yochanan nahago Rav Meir. We're noyig like him. That's not we're going to paskin him like that. Barabim. Rabbi Omer minhag Rav Meir. So man di'omer halacha Rav Meir darshin la bepirka. As the Gemara says beferish here. That means we will teach it publicly. Man di'omer minhag minish darshinan ari marinan. We're not going to paskin it barabim. However, in the event that, let's say, someone comes up to us and asks us what the din is, we'll tell them. Or we can say, no, it just means that if it was done, but b'diavad we wouldn't want them to do it that way. The halacha Krab Yosi. In fact, the halacha is like the Shita of Rabbi Yossi, that he says that there is no Nesias Kapayim by Mincha. However, there is by Ne'ilah, which again, we know on Yom Kippur we don't do Nesias Kapayim by Ne'ilah, because that's Minhag Ashkenaz. b'minchasa de tainisa. So, if in fact we pass on Rabbi Yossi, so how come nowadays we see that they do Nesias Kapayim by mincha on a fast day? Because when we daven mincha, it's so close to sunset. Kaparsi ketfilas nila dami. It's almost like nila, and therefore it's really like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says it's allowed because it's so close to by nila. So this is almost like nila because it's the end of the day. However, the kol yalmami is shikar asim and Nesias Kapayim. It's very clear that everyone holds that someone who's intoxicated, who's a Kohen, cannot do Nesias Kapayim. So Hamili. So Amr Mishum ben Levi Mishum bar Kapara, because of what he says. What is the juxtaposition in Parshas Naso between the Birchas Kohanim and the dinim of the Nazir? So it's Loimer man Nazir aser b'yayin. So a Nazir can't drink wine. Av Kohen mevarach aser b'yayin. So too, a Kohen who's blessing Klal Yisrael also cannot drink wine, just in the Nazir. So Maskivu Avua, the Reb Zer b'Yermelu Ushaya bar Zavna. If you want to compare him to a Nazir, so my Nazir Asa b'chartzin, I've Kohen Mavarech Asa b'chartzin. Does that mean that he's Asa also to eat, let's say, grapes and seeds and the peel of the grape? Like, where do we see that's an issue? You can't get drunk from that. So Rabbi Yitzchak Amar Kra l'shar so l'varech b'shmoi. It's to serve Hashem. So ma mishares mutar b'chartzin, just like stam, someone who wants to serve Hashem, you're allowed to have chartzin. It's not a problem. Af kain mevarech mutar b'chartzin. So therefore we allow it. It's not an issue for him to eat grapes. The whole issue is for him to eat or drink something which is intoxicating. So to say that he's also b'yayin, that went from Nazir. But to say that we apply all the dinim, that far we don't go. Question 4. Mehi hakula hanamoledes le'inyin kayin mevarech shehukish le'nazir v'kayin misharis. So he said that the connection is that when it comes to that he's mutter b'chartzin, shehukish le'kayin misharis. Let's continue with Chav Zayin with Aleph. If that's the case, so we're comparing him to a misharis, ma misharis bal mumulo, yav kain mevarach bal mumulo. So the question is, how do we understand this? We understand that a Kohen cannot do the avodah in the base of Mikdash, who's a Baal Mum, but someone who would dochen, a Baal Mum is allowed. No, he is Shel Nazir. So my chos is the Makshas L'Kul is Shel Chomra. How do we know we should go lenient? Maybe we should go strict and say that a Baal Mum cannot be Mavarech. This is all a smacht, and therefore we're makel. And therefore, we're makel on both sides. He's mutter b'chartzin, unlike a Nazir. However, a Baal Mum can be Mavarech, as we can. It's hookish l'Nazir. You can be a Baal Mum as a Nazir, and it's okay. You're a Baal Mum, and therefore it's not. Doesn't take away from that. Question T, and we'll stop there. TA 14. Rav Yossi the Hilchos Kavasim Nesias Kapayim Batainis, that he says the halachas like Rav Yossi. So be'ezet tefila ein noisin umadua. So he said that you don't do by mincha umadua innam noisin. So why in fact do we do Nesias Kapayim by mincha? So he says by mincha kivandi is b'chol yoim. Since we daven mincha all the time, he's goyz mishum shechus. However, nowadays since we daven mincha close to shkis achama, so therefore it's comparable to tefillas ne'ilah, and as he said, it's not an issue when it comes to Nesias Kapayim by ne'ilah. He allows you to do that, and therefore since we daven mincha the same time nowadays as we would do ne'ilah then, so therefore it's also allowed to do Nesias Kapayim by mincha. Question TB 16. El Devarim Roim Iru B'Tishabav. He asked for only 4 answers, but this should be 5. And of course, one is that we cannot enter Eretz Yisrael. They destroyed the first base of Mikdash, the second base of Mikdash, which they put together as one. Nilchada Ha'ir Beitar was destroyed. Nechosh Yerushalayim, the city of Yerushalayim was plowed. Adkan.